What if, what if the most grammatically perfect sentence you know is actually the one ruining your daily conversations?
Oh, that's a bold claim.
Right. But, I mean, consider the possibility that being factually correct is, well, sometimes it's the fastest way to kill a human connection.
Yeah, that happens a lot, honestly.
It really does.
Yeah.
So welcome back. If you're listening to this, you already know the drill. You are the kind of learner who wants to bypass the overwhelming, dense jargon and just, get straight to the insights that actually change how you operate in the world.
Exactly, the practical stuff.
Yes, the purely practical stuff. Today, we are taking a sledgehammer to one of the most foundational safety blankets in language learning.
We really are. We are looking at a highly specific, very provocative piece of source material. It's an excerpt with the title that reads as a direct command, honestly. It says, "Stop saying I don't know. 7 natural ways native speakers respond."
It feels almost aggressive, right? To be told to just abandon something so basic.
It does, yeah. Like, why fix what isn't broken?
Exactly. But our mission today for this deep dive is to use this source as a springboard to figure out how to master real-life daily conversations. We are focusing relentlessly on what it actually takes to sound like a native speaker.
Mm-hmm.
Because it turns out the phrases that are drilled into our heads in a classroom setting are often, well, they're the very things preventing us from achieving fluency out in the real world.
Oh, 100%. I mean, the classroom environment is engineered for absolute safety and measurable accuracy.
Right, like building blocks.
Exactly. You are taught declarative rules, you learn subjects, verbs, objects, and you learn how to assemble them flawlessly. But real, everyday human conversation is entirely different.
Yeah.
It does not prioritize grammatical safety. It prioritizes connection, nuance, and, momentum.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah,
Because looking closely at the phrase, I don't know, we hit a fascinating paradox.
we do.
It is the ultimate grammatical triumph for a beginner. Subject, auxiliary verb, main verb, boom.
Yep, it's perfect.
Semantically, it is flawless. If someone asks you a question and you do not possess the information, saying, I don't know, is 100% factually accurate.
Right.
So why is this source commanding us to throw a perfectly good tool out the window?
Well, what's fascinating here is that it comes down to the mechanics of cognitive load and the difference between semantics and pragmatics.
Oh, that's a big distinction.
It's huge. When you operate in a second language, your brain's working memory is heavily taxed. You're basically spinning plates.
Constantly.
You're trying to listen to the other person, parse their vocabulary, translate it, formulate a response, conjugate the verbs correctly, and monitor your pronunciation all at the same time.
It's exhausting just thinking about it.
Right.
Yeah.
So when a moment of uncertainty hits, say, you're asked an unexpected question, your working memory just maxes out.
Yeah, totally.
So, I don't know, becomes an emergency release valve.
Yeah.
It is cognitively cheap.
It's a panic button.
Exactly.
You hit it just to stop the spinning plates from crashing all over the floor.
Right. It shuts down the immediate cognitive demand. But pragmatically, meaning how the language functions in a social context, it operates as a conversational dead end.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Think about the social cue you're sending. When a native speaker asks you a question, they are tossing you a ball.
Mm-hmm.
Dropping a flat, I don't know, is refusing to catch it, and worse, refusing to throw it back.
Ouch.
Yeah, it unintentionally signals disengagement or, apathy.
That distinction between semantics and pragmatics is huge.
Yeah,
We often assume that if a sentence means the right thing in a dictionary, it does the right thing in a room.
but it doesn't.
No, it really doesn't. Relying on default phrases like this, it kind of reminds me of someone learning to play the piano by only practicing the C major scale.
Oh, I love that analogy. Up and down the keys, predictable, mechanical. I mean, it's technically music.
Right. You hit the notes in the correct order, and nobody can accuse you of playing a wrong note.
Yeah.
But a real-life conversation isn't a piano scale. It is a jazz set.
Ooh, yes.
Jazz requires call and response. It demands rhythm, syncopation, and adapting to what the bassist just did.
It's fluid.
Exactly. If you simply hammer out a basic C major scale in the middle of a jazz improvisation, you haven't technically made a musical error, but everyone in the room will stop and stare at you.
They'll be so confused.
It completely lacks the rhythm of real life.
That is so true. The textbook approach really only equips you with the what What is the literal translation of lacking knowledge? I don't know.
Right.
But native fluency operates entirely on the how and the WHY.
How so?
Well, like, how do I convey that I lack this specific information without making the interaction awkward?
Mm-hmm.
Why do I need to keep this conversational rally going, even if I cannot provide the answer they're looking for right this second?
Right. Because if a coworker asks me for my thoughts on a project, and I just, stare blankly and say, I don't know.
It's so jarring.
It is. I've just forced them to do all the heavy lifting to restart the interaction. The momentum completely dies.
It really does.
The source's command to abandon this phrase is really a command to stop forcing your conversation partner to carry the weight of the interaction.
This highlights the massive, often invisible gap between technical proficiency and cultural fluency. Default textbook answers strip the personality and texture out of your speech entirely.
Yeah, you sound like a robot.
Exactly. For anyone whose goal is to seamlessly integrate into an English-speaking ecosystem, whether that's negotiating in a boardroom, chatting in a coffee shop, or socializing at a dinner party relying on the panic button, is just self-sabotage.
Self-sabotage, wow.
It really is. You have to develop the linguistic muscle to keep the door open, even when you're completely uncertain.
Which brings us to the promise in the second half of our source's title, the 7 natural ways native speakers respond.
Right.
Now, to be clear, we are not going to sit here and read off a vocabulary list of 7 random phrases.
No, please no.
Doing that would just be swapping out one textbook for another, which defeats the entire purpose of this deep dive. We're interested in the underlying premise here. The source implies that native speakers don't just have one alternative backup plan, right? They have a spectrum of responses. They have a toolkit.
And having a varied toolkit is the core mechanic of real-time communication because context dictates everything.
Oh, for sure.
The pragmatic function of not knowing changes completely depending on the environment. Sometimes you lack the answer, but you're eager to find it out collaboratively.
Right, like, let's figure this out together.
Exactly. Other times, claiming ignorance is actually a polite, strategic way to dodge a highly sensitive or inappropriate topic.
Oh, I do that all the time.
We all do. Or perhaps you use it to pivot the floor back to the other person, inviting them to share their own opinion.
You calibrate your language to the stakes of the moment.
Precisely.
I mean, the way you signal uncertainty to your CEO during a high-stakes presentation is fundamentally different from how you signal it to your spouse when deciding what to eat for dinner.
Right. You're managing what sociolinguists call face.
Face. Like saving face.
Yeah, you are protecting your own social standing while respecting the other person's. A blunt, risks threatening that delicate balance. A spectrum of 7 natural ways allows you to navigate the gray areas of human interaction without causing unnecessary friction.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting. Because I have a major bone to pick with this idea.
Uh-oh. Bring it on.
If I'm a learner, and I'm already struggling with the intense cognitive load you mentioned earlier, the spinning plates telling me I now need to master 7 different ways to say I lack information sounds like an absolute nightmare.
It sounds overwhelming.
It does. Aren't you just asking someone to juggle chainsaws when they're still learning how to catch a ball?
That's a very fair point.
I mean, memorizing a list of 7 phrases seems like exactly what a beginner needs to survive a real-time interaction. Why take away their safety net? Are we just demanding they run before they can walk?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, abandoning the safety net is not about rote memorization of 7 discrete items.
Okay.
Treating those natural ways as a new list of vocabulary to memorize and randomly throw like jarts at a conversation that will just make you sound like a slightly more advanced robot.
Right, which we don't want.
What the source is pushing toward is the development of conversational agility, which relies on procedural memory rather than declarative memory.
Oh, break that down. What is the difference there in how the brain is actually processing the language?
So declarative memory is the textbook rule. It's recalling a fact.
Like capital cities.
Exactly. Procedural memory is riding a bicycle. It's automatic and fluid.
Okay.
When learners obsess over translating their native tongue directly into English in their heads, they are trapped in declarative processing. They're constantly looking up the rules in their internal filing cabinet.
It's slow.
Very slow. Developing conversational agility means listening to the music of the language and recognizing patterns, moving those responses into procedural memory.
Ah. So it's less about the specific 7 phrases and more about the underlying function those phrases serve.
Yes.
So what are native speakers actually doing when they use these alternative responses?
They are deploying cognitive placeholders.
Cognitive placeholders. I like that.
Yeah, when a native speaker is caught off guard or doesn't have an immediate answer, they don't just freeze. They
Right.
use specific filler structures, hesitation devices, and pivoting phrases to buy their brain milliseconds of processing time.
They're essentially padding the silence.
Exactly. They're holding the floor while simultaneously signaling to the listener that the conversation is still active.
Mm-hmm.
A native speaker might soften their lack of knowledge so it doesn't sound dismissive. They seamlessly stretch the vowels in certain filler words, or, they pivot the questions slightly to a related topic they actually do know about.
Right.
By adopting these natural pathways, you are not memorizing a script. You are adopting the mechanism of time buying.
You are learning to stall gracefully.
Yes, stalling gracefully.
That completely reframes the idea of having 7 alternatives. It isn't about having 7 different dictionary definitions of ignorance.
Yeah. No, not at all.
It's having 7 different maneuvers to keep the jazz set going while you figure out what note to play next.
And this shifts the burden off your working memory.
How so?
Well, when you've internalized a few natural, fluid ways to buy time, you stop panicking when you don't know a word.
Oh, right. Because you have a backup?
Exactly. You have the agility to weave through the interaction. This frees up your cognitive resources to actually listen to the person in front of you rather than just frantically preparing your next sentence.
Yeah, that lack of friction, that smoothness, that is the invisible marker of fluency.
It really is.
The person you're talking to might not consciously realize why they're enjoying the conversation more, but they will absolutely feel it.
They'll feel comfortable.
Right. They will feel that the burden of keeping the interaction alive doesn't rest entirely on their shoulders.
They'll feel a sense of conversational symmetry, the rhythm matches.
So what does this all mean? We have deconstructed the trap of the textbook default. We've explored the mechanics of cognitive load, and we've looked at how these 7 natural ways act as cognitive placeholders rather than just vocabulary words. But let's zoom all the way out and look at the actual human being listening to this. How does this specific shift, dropping, in favor of natural agility, actually transform their daily lived experience?
This raises an important question about linguistic identity and social categorization.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
Well, social linguistics tells us that people unconsciously categorize one another based on microscopic linguistic cues.
Right.
When you are stuck using robotic textbook defaults, the native speaker's brain instantly categorizes you as the learner or the outgroup.
And the moment they put you in that box, the entire dynamic of the relationship changes.
Drastically. It triggers something called accommodation theory.
Accommodation theory.
Yeah. The native speaker will instinctively and usually unconsciously modify their own speech.
Oh, I've seen this happen.
They will slow down. They will over-enunciate. They'll strip the slang and nuance from their vocabulary entirely.
Wow.
In some cases, they might even adopt a slightly patronizing tone, treating the interaction more like a transaction than a genuine connection.
You become a project they have to accommodate, rather than a peer they can just easily banter with.
Exactly.
That is an incredibly frustrating place to be for someone who is highly intelligent in their native language, but feels trapped in a childlike persona in English.
It's awful. It creates a ceiling on your social and professional mobility in that language.
But when you successfully integrate these natural time-buying responses into your daily life,
You shatter that categorization.
you break the student label.
You transition from being an observer of the language to an active, entrenched participant within the culture.
Because you're basically signaling to them, hey, you don't need to slow down for me. I can handle the rhythm of this interaction.
Exactly. And the transformational power of that shift is profound. It certainly changes how native speakers perceive you, but infinitely more important is how it changes how you perceive yourself.
Your confidence changes the way you carry yourself in every interaction.
Because the underlying chronic anxiety of what if they ask me something I don't understand begins to evaporate.
You're no longer terrified of the unknown.
Right, because you have the procedural memory and the conversational agility to handle it gracefully.
You aren't backed into a corner by a single missing piece of vocabulary.
No. Interactions stop being high-stakes tests and start becoming authentic, engaging, and just genuinely enjoyable experiences.
You take the intense pressure off the need to be perfect, and you replace it with the pursuit of being natural.
And in human communication, natural is infinitely more valuable than perfect.
Perfect is rigid. Perfect is a C major scale.
Yes. Natural is human. Natural is jazz.
Oh, I love that. Natural communication leaves room for the messiness of actual human thought.
It's the ability to navigate the gray areas of conversation with grace.
Let's distill all of this down into a core takeaway. If you pull one overarching insight from today's deep dive into this source, it should be this. The journey to sounding like a native speaker is not about cramming more pristine grammar rules into your working memory.
Not at all.
Relying on default, factually accurate textbook answers like the classic "I don't know" might protect you from making a grammatical error, but it acts as a conversational stop sign,
It kills the momentum.
and it forces you into the permanent role of the accommodated student. True fluency requires abandoning that safety net.
It means embracing the varied, natural, sometimes messy cognitive placeholders that native speakers use to buy time, manage social dynamics, and keep the connection alive.
It is about building an agile toolkit that allows you to transition from the classroom into the culture.
It required you to trust yourself enough to play the wrong note occasionally, as long as you keep the rhythm going.
A brilliant way to put it. But before we let you go, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over as you navigate your day.
Okay.
We spent a lot of time discussing how changing your vocabulary changes how native speakers categorize and perceive you.
Mm-hmm.
But turn that inward for a moment. When you finally drop those robotic defaults, when you start utilizing these fluid native placeholders to navigate uncertainty, do you actually start to think differently in English?
Oh, that touches on the idea that language isn't just a tool for expression, but a framework for thought itself.
Exactly the concept I'm pointing toward. If you adopt the natural rhythms, the hesitations, the polite pivots, and the cultural nuances of a new language, do you find yourself developing a slightly different personality when you speak it?
That's fascinating.
Does adopting the agility of a native English speaker change your internal monologue, making you approach problems or social interactions with a different mindset than you would in your mother tongue?
Does the language shape you just as much as you shape it?
Exactly. A provocative question to carry with you.
Definitely something to chew on.
Think on that the next time you find yourself caught in a moment of uncertainty, tempted to hit the panic button. From both of us here, thank you for exploring the mechanics of fluency with us. Keep questioning those defaults, keep building that procedural toolkit, and don't be afraid to jump into the jazz set. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.